Well, thank you all for coming, and welcome to Band in a Box. This is a demonstration of Band in a Box, and that's what we're listening to right now. What we have here is a chord progression that we entered from scratch. It took less than a minute to do. We picked this pop band with string quartet style. We set the tempo, we press play, and then everything you're hearing right now was created just by doing these simple things. You can enter any chord progression in any key, and Band in a Box will be able to play it. And that's what we did here. This particular style has one of our new reel tracks here, a real string quartet. Charlie, why don't you solo that and we can hear the string quartet. So reel tracks are real instruments played by real musicians, and this is an example of one of these, the string quartet. There is two violins, a viola, a cello, all playing this chord progression that we entered in. And you can, like I said, you can enter any chord progression you want. Let's bring the rest of the band back in. So it's one thing to say this, we've got this song that we made before, but it's another thing to see it in action. And that's what usually impresses people with Band in a Box, is seeing a progression entered from scratch. So Charlie, why don't you stop this right now? And we'll enter a chord progression from scratch. So we'll press new. Now let's enter a progression like a jazz funk kind of progression, say. So we'll leave the key as C, and we'll go at 1-6-2-5. So C, A minor, D minor, and G. And we'll repeat those 4 bars. So Charlie's just typing in these chords. And now I entered triads here, but you're certainly not limited to that. You can enter any chord type you want. So let's put in A minor 7 here, and B minor 7 flat 5 here, and E7 here, and A minor 7 again there, and then we'll go D minor 7 here, G7, and we also only entered in 1 chord per bar here, but you can enter more chords per bar. So let's go D minor 7, E minor 7, F, and G here. And there's lots of shortcuts too. So let's just copy these last 16 bars with a keyboard shortcut, K16. Okay, so now we have a whole song entered, and like I said, it took us less than a minute to do. Charlie's going to add some part markers at 17 and 25. What that does is the drums will change what they're playing here because it's a B sub style, and also the drummer will always play a fill in the bar before the part marker, so it kind of gives your song shape. So if we were to play this right now, it would be playing the last style we had loaded, this pop band with string quartet. So play it and we'll just hear what that sounds like here. So again, now we had a song that we entered that took less than a minute to do, and we now have this great band playing it. Okay, but now when I started entering this progression, I said we wanted like a jazz funk kind of a song. So why don't we stop here, and we'll go into the style picker, and we'll pick a different style. Now the style picker here has literally thousands of styles to choose from. There's reel tracks here, and as well as MIDI styles here. But it's the reel tracks ones that are the most impressive. So let's pick a reel track style. Now, there's, like I said, over several thousand to choose from, but we'll filter the list and we'll type in funk here. So it only shows us styles that have the word funk somewhere in the title or the memo. So you can see there's still a ton of styles left here, funk styles. And we're going to want to hear what they sound like before we pick them for our style. So we can just double click on them, and we hear a short pre-made sample of what that style sounds like. So we can just decide if we want to use that for our song. So here's just a classic old school funk style. Let's click right below that. That's a similar one, but this one has a synth bass. So you can find the exact instrumentation that you want, and then you pick that. But we said we wanted a jazz funk kind of a thing. So actually, let's add a new filter word up here, and we'll type jazz up here. So that filters the list even further to only show styles with funk and jazz in the title. And we've got a few here. Here's a cool one here. So this is more of a smooth jazz, kind of slow, funky kind of groove. And I see another one down here that says jazz funk with horn section. Let's listen to that. All right, so that's a great one right there. That's exactly what I had in mind. So we'll press OK. Now that style is now loaded and can play our song here. So the last thing we have to do is just set the tempo. So I'm going to actually grab the keyboard from Charlie here, and you can actually tap the tempo in. So I'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see it set the tempo to 107 beats per minute. And it's now going to play the song. So this chord progression that we entered in less than a minute, we picked the style, we set the tempo, and it's now playing it with this great horn section here. And if you want to change the key, that's no problem at all. We can change the key in seconds. So Charlie, why don't you change this to E flat, say? All right, and now we have the same song in a completely different key, and Band in a Box plays it within minutes. So now, like I said before, these are real tracks, which means it's real instruments played by real musicians. And not only these rhythm section instruments, but you can also choose soloists. So Charlie, why don't you click on soloist here, and we'll go add best real track soloist here. Now this gives you a list of a whole bunch of soloists that will work well for this particular style. You can pick any soloist you want, but the ones at the top of this list are the ones that are going to be really good with this style. And like we did before with the style picker, we can click on the individual soloist to hear what their sound like. So yeah, let's listen to this electric piano soloist. So we can hear a sample of it just by itself. We can also hear a sample of it in a band context. And let's click here on the soloist here, this electric guitar soloist here. And here's an alto sax. Here, let's listen to this one here. All right, so that one sounds good to me. So let's pick that for our song now. So we'll press OK and generate. So now it just takes a few moments for Band in a Box to analyze the chord progression, and it's coming up with a part. This alto sax will now play over this progression. We'll change a few things in the mix here. Now that we've got an alto sax, Charlie's turned down the horn section, and we've added some reverb. All right, so you can see what a powerful tool this is for teachers, for students, for songwriters. All you have to do is type in some chords and you get instant feedback. You can change whatever chords you like, and right away you press play and your changes, you're hearing your changes. So we're going to listen through some pre-made demos that we made earlier of more of these real tracks, including a whole bunch of different genres. So Charlie, why don't you open up a rockabilly style here? So here we have one of our new styles, rockabilly. So again, this chord progression, we entered it earlier and saved the song, but all we did was just type in these chords, and everything you're hearing was based on this chord progression. Let's solo a few of these instruments just so we can hear it. So let's solo this bass. This now, for the first time ever, we have this slap bass. So this is this is a real bass player playing a real instrument, and he's doing that great rockabilly slap. The player here actually is Dave Rowe, who actually performed with Johnny Cash. And let's bring in another real tracks first. Here is baritone electric guitar. And let's bring in the piano and the guitar and the drums. All right, so let's check out a couple of other styles. I think we've got a New Orleans style here. We've got a New Orleans Mardi Gras style here. And again, the most impressive thing with Band in a Box is seeing how you can change chords, and then Band in a Box will play whatever you've changed. So let's stop this here. And we'll just change a few chords here. So let's change the G to an E minor, and we'll let it go for 3 whole bars here. And here at bar 4, we'll go to A minor. And we'll continue A minor along bar 5, and we'll get rid of these chords here, and we'll go back to E minor here. Well, actually, let's go back to E minor at bar 7, and then maybe C and D at bar 8. And now let's just press play, and we'll hear this song with the changes that we made. As a songwriter, this is an amazing tool. Any changes that you want to hear, you want to just try out a few different chords, you can just enter them in, press play, and in seconds, you have a new rhythm section. Let's skip ahead. We've got another New Orleans style with a great boogie piano solo here. So again, to get this song, all we did is we typed in these chords, picked the style, set the tempo, and press play. And Charlie has now brought up this on-screen piano, so you can see exactly what the piano player is playing here. You could slow things down if you wanted to learn the part, and then gradually bring the speed back up. You could loop certain bars. You can see what a great, there's Charlie has brought down the tempo, so you can see you can learn it at the slower tempo, gradually bring the tempo back up. All right, let's check out another demo, Charlie. So earlier we saw some jazz funk styles. Now here's more of a classic old school approach. Let's solo the guitar here, Charlie. This is another Real Tracks First. This is a guitar played through a wah-wah pedal. So for the first time we've recorded a bunch of funk styles with wah-wah pedal. Now let's bring in the drums here. And the bass back in. And the piano. All right, let's see what we have next here. So here we have an Afro-Cuban bolero. We cover virtually all genres of music, and we cover them very extensively. So for example, we wanted to release a whole bunch of Afro-Cuban styles. We got the bolero, we got Guajira, and we also got a son montuno. So Charlie, I think we have a son montuno loaded up. And here we go. Now again, like before, I was talking about how we always go for the authentic sound. And now, like I said before, these are real musicians playing real instruments. And for example, let's solo the bass here. So this is a baby bass, which is a small upright electric bass, which is kind of a staple in Afro-Cuban music. This is the instrument that gets used, and so that's the important sound for this kind of music. So that's what we chose to record. Let's bring in the trez here. Now the trez is an instrument that's closely related to the guitar, but it's been altered, almost has more of a mandolin sound now, and that's an instrument that's essential to this kind of music. So we have that here. We also have Afro-Cuban percussion. And the piano player here is playing a great montuno groove. And let's bring the guitar back in here too. Now again, like I said before, the impressive thing with Band in a Box is seeing changes being made and then hearing those changes. So let's stop this for a second and let's just highlight the first 8 bars and press delete, so it just clears all of the chords from there. And let's just enter A minor 7 up here. And we'll go B minor 7 flat 5 here, and E7, and then A minor 7 here, D minor 7 here, and then E minor 7, F major 7, and G7 here. So we've made a few changes. Let's press play and hear how it sounds now. progression that you could want to enter into Band in a Box, it can play it with these real musicians playing real instruments. Let's see what we have next here, Charlie. All right, so here we have Texas Blues Style. Now this is a great one here. This has some musicians here. One that's almost always at the NAMM show here. Brent Mason is playing guitar. So we have a Brent Mason guitar soloist here. Now for a guitar student, you can see exactly what Brent is playing on the on-screen fretboard as Charlie showed you there, as well as in notation and tab here. So that just gives you a little taste of what Band in a Box is, what it can do, and some of the great styles that we have in Band in a Box. So thank you all very much for joining us here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me after. Thank you.